Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. Happy Wednesday, hump day, all red day. Crazy, right? I know it gotta be crazy for you because it's damn sure crazy for me. But it's a beautiful day indeed in my neighborhood, anyway. The sun is shining. It is cold as hell, for sure, but the sun is shining, which we can always appreciate. And what else? I think that's all I have to say about that. All right, let's see what we got here. Two of Pentacles, interesting. This is about managing energy. I would always like to start with the highest vibration, right? Because we know in a lower vibration, it could absolutely be managing resources and being a little bit challenged, shall we say, in that regard. Maybe having to rob Peter to pay Paul, or just trying to balance what you have versus what you need, and so on and so forth. That's the lower vibration, though. And the highest vibration is definitely managing your time, your energy, allowing yourself to be intentional about the balance of all that you have control over. Never said that before about this card, but that makes sense. Some things are just out of our control. What you make, what bills are due, it just kind of comes along with the territory in the more primitive and practical sense. You can only control what you have to give, or what you have to pay or satisfy, whatever the responsibility or expectation may be. And I would say that that's not just in the material sense by way of money and bills, so primitively, but in terms of any expectation on your time, your energy, your attention. You only have but so much time in the day, so many hands, so much energetic force, and you just get to choose wisely. Let's say that, manage all of that wisely so that you're not expending yourself or it more than you have to offer. So more than it being about money, I'm sensing that it's about energy at this time, not feeling particularly obligated to extend yourself in ways that may be depleting in some way, shape, or form. So that's that. Let's stick with that and see where we go with it. Yeah, that was 5 of Pentacles down. Oh, you saw how that flipped back, so we're not taking that. But that was the Wheel of Fortune and something else. Let's see what we got here on today. Okay. Somebody said, all right, you said manage my time. How about I do nothing? All right, so we got the 4 of Wands, 10 of Cups peeking out, and the Hermit card. Yeah, it may be cause for a retreat or more of a reserve in your exposure than others for the sake of creating balance and stability. And 10 of Cups is family card, even soul family, so maybe not even the expectations of just the traditional family structure or family values. I just heard values. That's a different spin. Yeah, because this is like going within to establish your own inner light, or maybe just discover it altogether. And that's separate, even walking away from, or at least he's pointing in a different direction, I would say, than this Ten of Cups experience, which indicates family or family structure. Like I said, it could be traditional or unconventional. So perhaps it's coming to a stabilization of what foundation you are building your legacy upon, what you are establishing as truth for yourself beyond projection, particularly from family or just the conventionality of society. Like I said, with the Two of Pentacles, like the expectation of how you should be spending your time, your energy, other opinions about that, or projections, even persuasive rhetoric about it, that may want to even challenge your come from, or wherever it is that you've landed. A lot of times that can come from a more intimate space, such as friends and family, and therefore it can be a bit more challenging to contend with, because of that feeling to want to please or satisfy or just keep the peace, or fit in, all those types of things, or let alone any expectation for exchange, whether to give or receive. It could be impending upon how you choose to live your everyday life, your ideals, your ambitions and such, especially if they're conflicting with popular opinion in some regard, popular being on a massive scale, socially and societally, and an intimate scale, as I've said. So this is an establishment of your own truth here, grounded by your own ambitions, purposeful indeed with that Hermit card, tried and true, I would say, even to some degree, or at least being willing to take the journey of self-discovery to solidify your findings, to bring a relevance to your perspective for you, not for anyone else, right? Not for anyone else's comfort or security, but this is like harmony, peace, balance, prosperity, having established a space of security where maybe perhaps it still conflicts. Yeah, maybe having to go somewhere else altogether to create that establishment, because there's a conflict in some regard, but it being done in a way that, what was I going to say? Like the establishment may not be appeasing for all, which is where the balance of those two pentacles comes into play. What is stable and grounding for you may cause a great conflict outside of you to some degree, and finding refuge outside of that conflict, beyond that conflict, is what this Four of Wands look like. Not sacrificing your passion for the sake of any thing or any person, place, or thing else outside of it, especially that doesn't have a direct weigh-in. Opinion is one thing, but that doesn't actually contribute to, or necessarily need to contribute to, that stability or that establishment. It's like you be welcome within that Four of Wands space to come on in if the vibe is right, but if not, we're perfectly fine in here on our own, no problem, that type of thing. Yeah, Ten of Wands, and this is releasing the burden of maybe perhaps feeling like, yeah, here's the Ten of Cups again. What's that about? The Ten of Cups with the Emperor card, yeah, definitely releasing the burden of control, however you have submitted to controlling factors in your life, what's taken precedence, what has held value in ways that has not been freeing, that's been more of a burden than it is a blessing, as would be the 10 of Cups. Ultimate wish fulfillment, happiness, joy, peace, harmony within the family. The 10, this is like labor beyond limitation at this point, meaning you're just carrying a load that's just not forwarding for the journey ahead, and that's actually quite burdensome and restrictive, because you're allowing too many other external forces to dictate more or less how your passion should be expressed. The 4, there's a great disparity here between the 4 of Wands and the 10, which would be the 6. Yeah, 6 of Wands is that victory and success, achievement, recognition, reward. It's when you release what you feel obligated. Again, it's just the spirit of obligation that's hanging over here. Feeling indebted to some superior or some authority. That definitely causes for a 10 of Wands, because as I was saying with the 4, it's like this authority here, is this the head of your household? It's like this is an emperor who is for sure a powerful expression of energy. But even the emperor, as a part of his empire, doesn't have the liberty to go into each and every house within the kingdom and dictate how everyone lives, even with setting certain mandates of rules and regulations and so on and so forth and laws. Is still a personal, each person is still in power over their own creativity. You know what I mean? It's like, and therefore should feel they have the authority to manage their own happiness, especially given that they're within the parameters of what the greater expectation might be. Like, consider, following just the laws of the land, more or less, not breaking any human laws, not breaking any covenant laws, like, against man, or just like not just the legal laws, like, what's actually in, like, say, the the Constitution per se, but just even following the laws of spirit, I would say. Even that's an expression there with the cups. Like, you're well within your own righteousness to live your own life, is what I'm saying. So to carry any burden, like to feel like, oh, well, the emperor really wants everyone to wear red every Friday. It's like, what? Now that's going a bit too far. Like, it's not the emperor because he wears red. You know what I'm saying? Like, the emperor, that's you out of your jurisdiction, my guy. Like, I can wear what I want to wear on any day of the week. I have that human right. I'm not breaking any laws. I'm not hurting anybody. So it's like, is the emperor really, going to come around and check and see that everybody's wearing red? I don't know. Maybe a deranged emperor may send out his foot soldiers to a tyrant, I would say, that would send out his foot soldiers to enforce such a mandate. But then that would not be the kingdom for you. You know what I mean? With that 6 of Swords card, it's time to move on into some more peaceful and calmer waters, because what you wear on a Friday shouldn't matter to someone who has much more expansive responsibilities at hand. Little old you and your wardrobe should be the least of their concern. So I know that was like a roundabout expression. I'm sure it made sense to some degree, but it seems like robust in very unnecessary ways. But it's the point I'm trying to make is that we're responsible for our own happiness within reason, more or less. And so anything that we allow, now it's on him to absorb that burden if he feels so stressed out about this rule and just has to live in this kingdom to feel, free and he feels like he has to live here in order to have a happy life, to find happiness. So therefore he's going to abide by this wear red every Friday rule. It becomes a burden on you if maybe perhaps you don't have red for every Friday, or you finding yourself having to wear the same shirt over and over again week to week because that's all you have, and maybe you don't have the resources to have a whole wardrobe for red every Friday or whatever the mandate may be. It imposes a great inconvenience and a disturbance to what your true values of holistic living are, to the point that now you're going out of your way to accommodate something that really doesn't even hold value in your home, or i.e. your kingdom, your own personal kingdom. Then that's the cause for when you have to consider, is this the space for me, or is it time to journey elsewhere? Am I wearing myself thin? Is it worth it for me to submit, even surrender in this regard, to a mandate or an ideal, even if we want to broaden it a bit, that I don't even find value in, that doesn't add value to my life, and that I don't even necessarily agree with, and that also I feel is an infringement on my personal right to just live my own life, So it's like, really, I just hear it in a different way too. It's like, yeah, and there's the exactly. And there's the Emperor again before this Devil card. He was on the bottom. It's like, when you think about the Emperor being like the empire, the establishment, you have to really consider. And when we think about mandates, we could think of even as recently as C-19, where people were faced with the obligation to get vaccinated or not, and were ultimately threatened with the possibility that they wouldn't be able to continue on in their job or continue on life in a certain type of way. Now that's just it's a really small and primitive example at this point in time, where we're not really in that vibe anymore, but that's just how surreal it can be that we have already experienced that. So it's not, it's surreal in concept, but it's very realistic in truth, that something of that nature has already transpired. So certainly that having been maybe even the test in the waters might be exactly the intel that was needed to see, like, how much further can we push the envelope? What can we make people feel they have to do in order to live peacefully in this society? These mandates of operation or law or whatever that's being passed down one way or another on a massive scale, that either puts a great discomfort on you to follow or to not follow, one way or the other, almost really pins you in the corner, and it's for the sake of what? Imposing restriction, limitation, for you to feel less inclined and liberated to live that 10 of Cups life, where you have freedom to create, to move around the planet as you so choose to. Case in point, I'm at the point where I have to renew my license again this year. And I got all like the information from the DMV as to, what's needed and blah, 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 blah. Now, I may just be way out of the loop, and this has been a thing for a while, but I haven't paid attention to the news about it. We're now, well, at least starting next fall, spring, you'll have to have what's called a real ID in order to travel, or else you're going to have to present like your passport or some other additional national identification. And it's like, what? Like, why are we doing this? And I have my own thoughts and my own speculations, of course, completely unfounded because I didn't do any research. But it's just yet another thing that is on top of the things that we already have to do that may or may not even be necessary, like having an ID in the first place, which of course, yes, practically, yes, it makes sense. But once upon a time, people didn't have to have a license to drive. People didn't have to have an ID for certain things. Travel was even much more fluid than it is now, and perhaps than it probably ever will be at this point. But I'm just saying all that to say that it happens in the subtle ways. So it's now it's like, if you do want to travel by next spring, you'll either have to pay more money, first of all, for this real ID, because it's $11 more than what you would pay just to renew your license as is. And of course, you have to gather all these points, and that aggravation, of course, or you'll have to be sure to have a passport as well, which also costs money and is an extra effort as well to go anywhere outside of the U.S. Or maybe, I don't even know if it's outside of the U.S. I want to say that not even outside of the U.S., because of course you need a passport for that. But even with it domestically, you need that to travel now. Don't know what, and it has a little star on it, which I'm already side-eyeing, like, what is this really about, type of thing, but there it is, the things that you have, you kind of, your back is pushed up against the wall. Now it's kind of trivial in the grand scheme of things, because, okay, so I got to pay a few more dollars for a special ID or whatever. However, you never know what they really trying to slide in under the radar with, how systems work. It's just like you always have to keep your eyes open for the most part. It's never as clear cut as it appears. And while I feel inclined to do it, just to have that convenience and get it out the way, and not have to think about it by next spring when I don't have to renew my license, but I'll still have to pay to upgrade it anyway. Because right now I actually need a new passport. I need to reorder mine and replace it. So God forbid a trip come up between now and then, and now I'm stuck. It's like the inconvenience of it all, when it's like, what's the relevance really? And I'm paying for the irrelevance and the inconvenience with the extra $11. All right, so soapbox over, okay? Rant over, I should say. Oh, look at the here goes the temperance, like, calm down, girl, relax. Okay, all right. But yeah, the Knight of Cups is like the finesse, the offer, and the temperance is like making it make sense, I suppose. But it's something that you have to come to a reckoning with, because society's not going to make sense to you, really. It really is kind of on you to decide, to find the true value and how it fits into the scheme of the life that you're creating, this wish fulfillment, which, mind you, is just one shy of the 10 of cups. It's like always having to have this balancing act with the spirit and the truth of the matter of this life experience, because a lot of times it just doesn't make sense in face value, and it often is and in position to what would just naturally be the flow of ease and happiness and peace, but somehow we still have to contend with it. Or do we? There's the question, because as I've said, it's like, some things are kind of like, oh, you got to just flow with it. But some things, whether it be past or maybe even on the horizon, may not fit into the scheme of making sense, especially in the regard of your spirit and matter of truth. This Knight of Cups is like a finesser, like offering you something that may or may not really truly be nourishing or vital to your spirit. It may quench your thirst to some degree, but, it may not necessarily be, it's like a difference in the water. Like you could drink tap water and you might not be thirsty. However, depending on where you live, that might not be good for your body. You know what I mean? So it cures one issue but creates another, type of thing. So I don't know why I'm saying all these things, but there's definitely something here, especially with the emperor popping up a couple times, where we all may be facing a bit of a, I don't know, a crossroads or some type of balancing act with our own integrity in alignment with what's being asked or insisted, I would dare I say, of us in some way, shape, or form, and having to find the balance of truth as to how that fits in with our reality and our integrity, and what of it we may perhaps have to, dare I say, rebel or resist altogether. Perhaps find some different space of security and stability if this is the gateway. Like, for instance, with the vaccines, some people did say no and had to go find a job elsewhere or figure out some other way of living. I don't think the powers that be always plan for individualism to ramp up in that regard, like in that response. I think they've been used to kind of herding us as sheep for so long, literally cracking the whip, and we get in alignment that it's kind of a shock to the societal senses when people actually say like, no, I'm good on that. I'll figure something out on my own over here. Like, I'll trust my spirit, my intuition, my source to lead me and guide me and provide accordingly. And sometimes that energy projects itself again. It's always as above, so below, as within, so without. So with that Emperor card, sometimes it's as intimate as your close quarters, your family and friend circle, where there's an expectation for you to almost relent to obligations or for whatever the pressure may be, literally pressure with the ten of wands. And there's almost like a calculated response from the outside, like, well, we know if we do this, she'll do that, or if we put the pressure on this regard, then he'll respond this way. And then sometimes it's a surprise to all the senses that it's like, no, I'm not going to do that. I don't want to do that. I'm going to actually do this. And this is what makes me happy. And this is what I feel secure in. And it doesn't matter to me holistically that you're disappointed by that or sad by it or feel offended by it or any type of thing. It's like all of that pressure gets to stay on the outside. And, it's almost a return to sender to whom it was projected. Like, if that's your issue with it, then that's your issue. But what I'm going to do over here is be safe and secure and what my standard of living is set to be, what feels desirable and comfortable to me. That balance alone is hard to achieve, on an intimate level, let alone on a grand scale when some higher authority is threatening to take something away from you or do something in response for your lack of compliance or resistance altogether. So like I said, I don't know what this is. Usually it pops up later if it's something deep, that we need to really think about. But here's the independence here and moving forward. Someone that would want to almost police your independence is what I'm feeling with this Chariot card, to keep you from moving forward or just being still and secure just where you are. You know what I mean? Like, without a care in the world. That's what the Nine of Pentacles is. She's not really bothered by outside projections of what she should be doing with her money, her time, her energy. Her focus is very self-contained. It's not apathetic. I always like to say that because sometimes it kind of sounds like that when I talk about the Nine of Pentacles, like she don't give a shit about nothing and nobody else. If the whole world could blow up, but she's safe in her little secret garden. It's not that, but it's that there's first of all, there's an appreciation for the cultivation of this independence amidst all of the pressures of the world and otherwise, to conform in some way, shape, or form, or just to feel incited to do anything out of integrity or out of obligation, So there's that. So that grace is already solidifying. And is this the Six of Wands? Yeah, it is. The Six of Wands that move ahead forward. And then I would say even more so like this, that this energy would want to kind of put a halt to that in a lower vibration though, because usually the Chariot is just forward movement. But what it wants to do, like consider, remember I said like the what's his name, the emperor could send out his knights or his foot soldiers or policemen in some regard to enforce whatever the mandate is to make sure it's happening, you know. So it's like almost where she's moving in one direction, this Chariot would want to like redirect that transition, you know, like that transit, you know, that I can't say it. That transportation is to some degree, like she's in motion, you know, she's moving on, very successful and having received some recognition and reward for whatever is accomplished here. But again, notice that it's wand energy, so it's really in some regard following pure passion, whatever that may be. That's a great threat to societal norms, particularly the empire that has an interest in hoarding passions for its own mechanism, you know, for the purposes of its own mechanism. Like, yeah, you can be passionate, but fuel that passion to where we want it to be, where we want it to go, how we want you to exert it, what ultimately is efficient for the greater force of all, not just for you. You know what I mean? Even though you have an impact on the greater force of all, just being you authentically, for sure. But it doesn't always benefit the higher tiers of the powers that so-called be, for you to be self-contained and self-assured, because then they can't manipulate you to go elsewhere, literally to turn your chariot, your little horse to this way where they want you to follow them and carry that energy with them, because he don't have no wands, pretty much. That the society force collectively is the fuel for the source of it all, you know. So independence is a great threat. And so, what was I saying on that? I was going somewhere else with that, with the Knight of Pentacles. Oh yeah, because it's not like completely unbothered by what's what. So there's solidification and the grace to do that, but it's also, you know, tried and true and being contented. Like I actually did begin to say, is that the independence is in fact inspiring and impactful for all. It just doesn't roll up to the convenience of the selective few, you know, for what we call it, the large minority, so to speak, the ones that want to absorb all power and possessions by way of the people. It doesn't really fit their agenda, but it most certainly does affect in a positive way the universal order with the Temperance card here. It adds great value, as a matter of fact. So someone that's in the Nine of Pentacles energy is unbothered because they've already cultivated enough confidence and self-awareness and security and stability not to feel like they need to relent to a dependency elsewhere, you know, on any outside force or source or person or approval or opinion. Like, this is the balance, this is the stability under this Four of Wands that, as you can see, is not solitaire at all. When you look at the Four of Wands, there's an openness to partnership. As I said, like anybody that's on this vibe, come on in. Let's work together. Let's build together. Let's grow together. Let's plant together. Let's eat together. You know, like all of that good stuff. But anything that's going to be causing stress, unnecessary stress and pressure, unfoundedly, no thank you. You could stay on out. Anybody that wants to lord over people's own autonomy and their own free will to choose and to express, no, it's a no thank you. And the Temperance card, yeah, to obstruct people from making their own wise decisions and choices, make them feel ignorant to their own, like their own vitality to some degree. That's not really the word I want to use, but just feeling like untrustworthy, to care for self, to make decisions, to secure again their own sense of happiness, almost feeling like, children to the so-called powers that be, when everybody here really is on the same level, more or less, just operating in different frequencies, unfortunately, but all responsible for your own experience in this life. And it really is out of the emperor's jurisdiction to impose certain laws and mandates that are an infringement on anything else besides just the general safety and security of his territory, And the temperance card here is the spirit and truth of the matter that's just looking to balance that imbalance, unbeknownst to the so-called powers that think that they still, like I said, that's why I'm like, I don't know why I'm saying this and what's potentially looking to be imposed or offered or inferred. Yeah, look at this. Like, first of all, but it's not going to go down that way. Two of Pentacles making it very clear that this is imbalance and insecurity. Like, whether that's the imposition to infuse the spirit of despair for the purposes of, again, getting over and taking over with the Knight of Wands, take like almost what do we call it, like a possessing and conquering energy with the Knight of conquering people's ambitions and passions, like reclaiming them by way of the spirit of despair, to feel like, all hope is lost and they're depleted and they have to, in this regard, there is an absolute need for codependence or dependence in general, because you almost can't take care of yourself. This is not just balancing, managing, doing the best that you can. This is putting people in a position to literally not be able to fend for themselves, victimizing them materially, energetically, which absolutely puts a damper on spirits, you know what I mean, by way of the Five of Cups, because what can you manifest truly that's of value in that energy, which would be the perfect opportunity for them to try to swoop in and make some mandate or order that solidifies this spirit of despair, even as though they're acting like they're bringing the cavalry to your rescue, like, well, we have this for you instead. This is like another unfortunate widespread catastrophe of sorts, and imposing a lockdown or like, I don't even want to say, to be honest. Or with this card here with the Nine of Pentacles, definitely I've been getting a lot of energy about produce and food and stuff like that. And if you set certain parameters on how people get to buy their own nourishment or nourish themselves in general, maybe even spend their money, I don't know. Some funny business is happening here. My nose was just itching. Imposing some crisis, or it's definitely by way of stability, and then work again too, not allowing people the liberty to take care of themselves, and then offering the support, like, well, we got this for you, but in order to get this, you got to do that type of thing. It's that type of energy, which we know we kind of in line for at this time. But what I don't think they realize, I didn't even know it was all that, but I'll take it. What I don't think they realize is that what we're not in line for, is that one? Yeah. Is the same old trick, like the test run by way of the pandemic is not what it's finna be on another go round, if there is even the intention for another go round. People have been elevated in their creative consciousness and their awareness of their true value now, that it's not going to have the same impact. It's actually going to work to where people are confused. Not for everybody, maybe some, to some degree will be vulnerable for attack or for dominance and whatever intention it intends to be. But the Ten of Cups is like inevitable at this point in time. Like people, yeah, with the Nine of Cups, exactly. Like people are hip to what it takes already. Like the test run was enough for those that are willing to work in their own autonomy to know exactly what needs to be done or gets to be done in order to solidify it. Their own wish fulfillment, their own happiness, peace of mind, legacy, love, liberty, all of that good stuff. So it would be much more of a up. Is quite funny because it's like I said, they never intend for it to have the effect that it has. But I feel like, you know, with the pandemic, what was supposed to be a breaking point, even though it was kind of a test run to some degree, it was still supposed to really break down the systems and break people down psychologically more for the kill. It really built people up. It empowered them. It made them stronger, made them more resilient, more creative, more courageous, more independent, more high valued, you know, less confused, and if anything, more privy to the variety of choices that they actually have at their disposal, that it doesn't have to relent to the Knight of Cups as if that's the best water in the well, or, you know, water in the land type of thing, that there's a water of a higher essence, alkaline, as a matter of fact, that's far more nourishing and sustainable than what it's even been previously projected to be. Like it was unattainable to some degree before, but it's like, no, actually it's not. It's not at all. Like you can have alkaline water too. You know, once upon a time you could only have alkaline water to an extent if you got those really expensive machines where it transformed your water in your home. Now you can buy it off the shelf, you know what I mean? And I don't know the value of it all, to be honest with you, but it's possible you can have it. You literally can have it at your own fingertips, at your own disposal. So one thing's for sure is that there's really nothing to fear at all in terms of what any potential plan may be of action to impose an interruption or interference from this divine evolution. And yes, the Ten of Pentacles, like Ten of Cups, Ten of Pentacles, like prosperity is pronounced all through this message, and there's no way to get around it. People are exploding in their energetic force, and it cannot be contained. It can only be manipulated by the illusions of disrupting that your outside experience, like your external experience, to keep you distracted from going within. But as I said, some people have already gone enough within to know exactly how to not go without, if you feel me, you know, and they never will because of that journey that was taken back then. You know, even a tower ain't a tower no more. People are already protected for the best and the worst with the Seven of Wands. This is only really going to be effective to those that were looking to superimpose a tower, cause that disruption, the chaos, the confusion, something that is just unnatural, you know, to divine order at this point in time, to put people in a position to feel like they have to be protective or even afraid, you know, fearful for their own vitality. Again, wand energy, that they have to protect their passion as if it's life or death, or else like, no, you just live your life. It's serious out here, but the integrity is key, you know, and that's the thing, like that was cultivated. That was the heavy lifting that was cultivated throughout that test run, so to speak. You know, the decisions that you made. Were you one that, now if you got the vaccine and you wanted to, that's your business, you know, but if you got it only simply because you felt a threat to your livelihood, or that you wouldn't be accepted in society, or you wouldn't be able to continue life as you knew it, or you felt you would be ostracized amongst your family and friends, you know what I mean? Like if you just did it because everybody else was doing it and you gave into that pressure, That's different than feeling like that's where you felt safe and secure to do that. You literally felt that it was in your best interest for yourself and your family to go ahead and do that. That's a different expression altogether than, yeah, just holding on to material, um, you know, worth and wealth by way of energetic force here with the Four of Pentacles. Feeling like you, like almost resistant to standing your ground, not wanting to stand out against the crowd and be the independent one to say, nah, I don't feel like that's what I need to do. Respect for anyone that does and did and will and whatever the case may be, but that's just not the choice that I feel is designed for me, that's in my best interest. That was a hard decision to make against all the propaganda at the time, making you almost feel like an alien or you know, reckless or irresponsible to just make a simple choice for your own life, you know, against what the masses or what was popularized, again, from a mandated higher authority source. The emperor ain't got no business telling people that they have to put anything in their bodies in order to just live their everyday life. That's out of jurisdiction, you know, but it was up to the people to decide whether you comply or whether you deny, you know. So again, if anything, that was the test run that cultivated that strength, that stability, that independence, that allowed you to kind of see the bigger picture for what it was and make a balanced choice regarding it all, and really to affirm your value in your own independence, you know, in the midst of a very cloudy and hazy situation and beyond material measurement is what this energy is here. Like, okay, well, maybe I can't work, but I'll tell you one thing, I ain't putting no foreign energy into my body and not knowing, you know, what the effects may be in the long run. Okay, here's that with the Seven of Pentacles. Some people took that chance, and it doesn't make anybody better or worse than the other, but these are the breaks. You know, this is what we were all faced with. Ten of Swords, like what we ultimately, literally, as I said, these are the breaks, like what you putting into in your life by way of betrayal and sabotage, even self-sabotage to some degree, allowing the emperor's mandate to be your ultimate word, you know, like your ultimate, what's the word that I'm looking for? To be your ultimate authority to some degree, you know, the thing that you answer to, the thing that literally monopolizes and that's not the word I want, dictates, as a tyrant would, right? Dictates what crops you yield, how much money you make, how you can go about sowing crops, like going to work and things of that nature. That was all of that energy at that time. What is enough and what is too much to have, and you know, like, you know, give me some of that, as you know, as the text, as what's the name does, the IRS does, like, that's too much, give me some of that, you know what I mean, like all of that stuff. And let's not even get into that, you know, how invasive that whole situation, and unfair and balanced, as a matter of fact, that whole institution is. So it's like everything's being called into play, but and a lot of it has come to an end, even unbeknownst to us who contribute to it every single day. But the facade of superiority and possession and dictatorship continues to be upheld by the system itself, as we're still confused as to how we regain and reaffirm our power and our actual value within the system itself, that we are the things that make it tick by our agreement with it or not, you know, how much we invest, even in the elections coming up, you know, that your energy, your vote, your attention, your decision empowers a living being to impose an authority in your favor. It's very important that you be clear of how it, like, look at the disparity between this ace and the seven of pentacles. It's like a great magnitude of investment just to say, yes, I agree with this person's policies, and I agree with some, but I don't agree with others. It's like having to choose the lesser of the evils out there. But ultimately, whatever you invest your coin in, your vote for, you're empowering that force now. You're just as responsible for the expression of that energy as they are themselves, the embodiment of it. So it's like, really, when does it end? It ends when we say it ends, individually and collectively. That's it. That's all. We only really sabotaging ourselves by continuing to contribute to systems and mandates and tyrants and inept leaders, and not inept, is that the word? Like inadequate. If it's not inept, it's damn sure inadequate leaders, just for the sake of saying, I voted. Like, okay, now what? Is it making your town, your city, your state any better, really and truly? That's a problem that it's not, because I can answer that. It's not. Yeah, look, exactly. Seven of Swords, looking to monopolize, steal and destroy strength of a natural order, perhaps even a divine order with the Strength card, because there's something a bit supernatural about the Strength card indeed, when you can overcome your ego and pride and things of that nature for within an ascended will, because it's hard to operate in any type of will alone. We know by the propaganda that we face every day as to how we should live and the choices that we should make. And this is the energy of the Seven of Swords, of trying to steal that energy, because it is life force fuel. But again, was he stealing it for to invest in his own crops, considering that this could be the same energy? Really, it isn't, but just for the intents of the point, the intents and purposes of the point. Taking it back to his field to plant accordingly with the Seven of Pentacles. But even still, as I'm saying it, sometimes with the Seven of Pentacles, I see it as a disappointment with what's yielded, because those intentions are not prosperous. They're not productive in truth. Well, they're not productive in truth, so therefore they don't really yield much. They're not very prosperous in real time. It may be impactful for sure. It may make an imprint on many, if not most, to some degree, but on the greatest value of strength that exists in the land now, on account of all of that transformation that took place during what I said, it was more like the trial and error time, or the test run or whatever. It's way too expansive now, way too solidified and pronounced of a strength and a power to be siphoned in the way that it was when people were unassuming, when people were unaware, when people were delusional and illusional and compliant and subservient, even, dare I say, afraid to resist or be even assured in their own expressions of value in any way, shape, and form, in every way, shape, and form. It's a different energy in the realm now. As a derivative of the Temperance card, it's not the same. Like, it's not the same lick that was able to be hit before. It's like robbing a house. Only those that didn't take that didn't heed the warning to maybe secure their space a bit better, their boundary, so to speak, in a practical way, but get a better security system, maybe some cameras, maybe, change the locks on the doors, whatever the case may be, whatever it would be to secure that foundation, that home, that establishment. It's only those that would get hit again successfully, one that took all of those precautions and those measures to secure their own vitality in spirit and in truth again, next time this guy comes back, he won't even be able to step on the property. It's now a gated community. You know, you got to have a fingerprint or a password to get into the house. All the windows are locked and sealed, maybe even barred. I don't know. You know, the security system, there's like a 360 camera system all around town, you know what I mean, all around the property, all around the estate. As soon as you step foot onto the property, uninvited, there's an alarm that goes off. There's a guard dog in the yard, you know, like every aspect of protection is covered. And I feel this in a very spiritual way, for sure. Like, hopefully you can get into it if you dare, you know. But it's like, yeah, what once was the little page of cups that you thought, you know, somebody that was, again, unassuming, unsuspecting, innocent, naive, harmless, definitely unthreatening by all accounts. You know, the predators of sorts, in whatever capacity we're speaking of them as, think they can just come in and swoop up this energy, you know, without any type of resistance or pushback or capture altogether, or like attack, dare I say. Because something gonna look at her. She holding back this lion. If the lion don't get you, the guard dog will. Like, where if you got through the gate, if you got over the gate, you're damn sure gonna set off the alarm on the grounds, the motion lights, and then you can't even get in the home even if you get within the gate and onto the grounds. You know, it's like what you came for is not what you're leaving with, first of all. And anything that you think you may have, like say perhaps you didn't get away with much because of the security, but at least you got in and got out unscathed. It's like, nope, no, you really didn't, because the Seven of Swords always finds their karma elsewhere. Literally finds themselves, meets their own energy, and some other force may not be exactly in the way that they thought they were getting over behind them, but certainly in a justifiable response elsewhere. They never get away, because that's just the temperance, the balance of universal order. Whatever you're sowing here in the Seven of Pentacles, like look, even here it's expressive, where they put someone else in a position to have to protect themselves, and now that's the energy that they've harvested. So now they gotta protect themselves with the, and look, it's, oh shit, 777. I didn't even get into that. Interesting. 777, like this is their jackpot, you know, where they literally thinking they're hitting a lick and about to, you know, pull the big one, the jackpot on humanity or on whomever the target is, intimately or, you know, universally, and everything in between. Whoever they think they about to hit a jackpot on, a lick on, get over on, it's like, no, not only are you less than the Knight of Cups, like you are back at square one, and you can't even drink that cup because it's a fish in it. So now what you gonna do? Now what you gonna do? Oh, shit. Oh, wow. Wow. Wowzers. And I would put that here because that's exactly the energy that you're going to meet. Whomever and however this determination for defeat presents itself. If it's not in divine alignment, it's not in universal ordinance, if it doesn't make sense, if it's out of jurisdiction, if it's against spiritual law, even beyond the actual law at this time, you know, the law of the land. We talking about spiritual law takes precedence over the law of the land. It definitely coincides, but Just because something is admissible to do legally doesn't make it morally right, doesn't make it spiritually lawful. So if you upset the divine, I'm hearing them say that ass is mine. And that's exactly what this energy is here. It's the end. And you'd be happy, blessed to just be deferred to a page of cups and get the opportunity to start over, to start fresh. Even with the tainted cup, remember I was talking about water, even with spigot water, you'd be better off than none at all. Okay? Having no thirst to quench whatsoever. So it's like people need to quit while they're ahead, or while they're actually very far behind at this point, because the only thing left is total demise. And that's on a great scale and on a small scale. It's like you can't do this anymore. You're ultimately going to bring your own self to your ultimate demise, your inevitable demise, because this energy is not sustainable. It doesn't stand a chance for the exalted spiritual beings in the earth anymore. And it doesn't yield any crop. It doesn't yield any produce, and anything sustainable is not protected by outside forces, and it's not protective. It's actually creating more of a vulnerability in the earth, because the more of this energy that you expel, the more susceptible you are, as I said, to meeting that force somewhere down your path. You can't even really inflict the same harm that you used to on individuals that would be the more supreme target, the real supreme life force and source of fuel. Is not even, you can't even tap in like that anymore. It's like a lost cause. So to even try is a detriment to your vitality, in addition to just making your life experience that much less desirable at this point in time. Like, you just might as well heal. Get to the root, get to the bottom, get to the source of your own creativity. Figure out what that fish in the cup actually is and where it belongs, which is in that vast ocean behind you, not in your drinking water. You can't drink water at the beach, so why would you want to have it in your cup? Needs to be a purification in order for vitalization at this point. Otherwise, it's like leaving spirit no choice, because there is no sustainability in these diabolical energies as they are anymore. They are either going to self-destruct or meet their ultimate demise. Those are the options. So stay integrity, because but for the grace of God, as I like to say, there go I, and nobody is exempt from falling out of alignment. We're all susceptible to it because it's quite easy to do. It's like at this point, you should have enough evidence in what you've cultivated within yourself, honorably, honestly, to really not want to detach from that vitality. It's like almost too good, like water, good water. You may not even really like water all that much over some of the more indulgent beverages, tea and soda and so-called, that are good to the taste buds, or sensational, I should say, to the taste buds. But nobody can deny the nourishing effect of good water, what it does to your body, your senses. Even if you don't like the taste, you automatically feel the response in your physical being just by ingesting it, So it's an undeniable source. It's an undeniable force in this realm, as we know it, and perhaps even beyond. So it's like, to try to get around it, look, like this, how this is falling here, to try to get around it and sow anything else, like you can't even properly harvest a crop without good water. It's no way to even do that. Is nothing living about that, unless it's some, hyper superficial type of hybrid GMO type of crop, which even still I'm almost positive requires some nourishment, some water, something. Even the indoor garden system that I talked about yesterday, I'm sure water comes into play in some way, shape, or form. So it's like you still need the source. It's not, you can't get around it. And in a small dose, in a large dose, whatever it is, like, you can't move around this ground level of vitalization. Otherwise, like I said, you're moving in the opposite direction. So y'all stay hydrated, as my son likes to say. Stay hydrated in spirit and in truth. Please stay hydrated. All right. And I'm done. Until next time, as always, I leave you with peace.